Okay, this is lecture 2, and we'll talk about goal and product of scientific research. Okay, number 1. Okay, so the goal of scientific research in general is to produce knowledge that's reliable. So that means it's consistently reproducible and then also generalizable beyond the specific situation. So it's not just about it's applicable to the sample, but it needs to be more general. So it's the relation between sample and the population is about the generalizability. Reliability is about consistency. Okay. So there are 4 different kinds of products of scientific research that we can think of. That's description, explanation, prediction, and construction of comprehensive model. And we'll talk about each. Description means you simply describe the subject matter that you are interested in. So let's talk about this using example. Okay, knowing and listing all living things on Earth. That's a description, obviously. Also counting the number of salmon moving up the river. That's a description. And then in particular in psychology, a good example is personality description. How many different kinds of personality concept is needed to exhaustively describe people? These are all description. So description can be qualitative or quantitative using number or narrative description. Okay, and that's different from the next one that we talk about, which is an explanation. The difference between explanation and description is complicated, and people are still confused. But the general rule is that explanation talks about why and how beyond the description. When you talk about, for example, psychologists try to talk about schizophrenics, and you can describe schizophrenics symptoms such as positive symptom, negative symptom. That's a description. But when you try to explain schizophrenia, psychologists often talk about underlying biology such as hyperactivity of dopamine or genetic predisposition. Therefore, you try to link it to causality, and that's the difference between explanation and description. And psychologically, when people explain, it seems somehow tend to contribute to the sense of better understanding of the subject matter. Okay, and most typical way of explaining subject matter in science relies on something called reductionist. Reductionist means reducing the complicated concepts such as schizophrenia into biology, such as underlying biology, such as dopamine activities or genetic predisposition. The problem with this is you lose some sort of richness, right? And so, because the reason why is you're looking at an individual tree, but not the entire kind of wood or forest. So that's a good kind of metaphor of the problem associated with the reductionistic approach. Because you are not going to be able to reduce complicated things such as schizophrenia into underlying components alone. Okay, the next one is a prediction. Prediction is particularly important in applied contexts such as clinical application, because you need to predict what's going to happen as a function of treatment. The treatment is a cause, and the results of the treatment is an effect. And what's important to be noted here is in predicting the outcome of some sort of treatment, you need to be able to figure out what's going to happen, and also as a target, whether or not the people's symptom improve, but also unintended consequence. And unintended consequence is very important. Therefore, I'm listing the book that is interesting. It's called Revenge Effect. So the one unintended consequence is such as using helmet in American football, people thought that it's going to improve the safety. However, as a result of people being safe, players started playing more aggressively. Therefore, it produced unintended consequence. So in prediction of science, you need to predict not just intended consequence, but also unintended side product. The last one is a construction of comprehensive model. In psychology, the example of construction of comprehensive model is biopsychosocial models, which I'm going to describe in the subsequent slide. Okay, in biopsychosocial model, behavior or mental processes that you are interested in is explained not just based on a single cause, but many different kinds of causes such as biological influences, psychological influences, and social cultural influences. In this case, in this way, comprehensive model as a product of research aimed at exhaustively kind of explain how a target phenomenon such as schizophrenia happens due to biology, psychology, and social cultural influences. Okay, so then why you need to be aware of the product of psychological research? Because the reason is you often the goal of the psychological research is not just producing these products, but communicating these products using different kinds of outlet. And I listed two different kinds of format. One is a conference presentation, which is usually oral and a poster presentation. And the second format is a written format. Written format include journal publication, book chapter, and a whole book. Journal publication is considered to be the most kind of details and technical, and it's often involves peer review process that's going to make the product of research more trustworthy, consistent, and replicable. Okay, book chapter is somewhat similar to journal publication, but it doesn't often involve extensive peer review. Therefore, it's considered to be lesser in quality. The book is completely different. A book is usually written by a single author or a group of authors who share similar perspective. And it's more comprehensive review of a specific topic, usually from specific kinds of perspective. Okay, so regardless of these different kinds of outlet, what you need to learn and pay attention to is that the form of communication in scientific research involves argument. What is an argument? The argument needs to be at least have two different parts. That is a claim. So the claim is about description, prediction, explanation. That's your product of your research. But that needs to be supported by some specific kind of support, namely evidence. The support can be authority or reasoning or factual evidence, and then you need to always make sure what is the support, such as authority, reasoning, or factual evidence. That's why, like in APA style, you need to cite. Citation is to specify what is the source of your support. Okay, and but overall, you need to remember, as we already talked about in the previous lecture, the strongest form of evidence is a specific set of data that directly attests to the claim you are making. But overall, in scientific argument that you attempt to communicate through the journal publication or book chapter or book, you rely on all these different sources of support, such as authority, reasoning, and empirical evidence. Okay. And in particular, here in the last slide, I briefly talk about the form of specific argument, which is most common in scientific argument, which is diagnostic argument. The example of diagnostic argument is like, I believe my car is broken, which is a claim, because black smoke is coming out from this engine, which is the data and the symptom that you can observe. So the smoke is actually used as evidence to make a claim that car is broken. In a more formal example is two population means are different because p-value associated with an independent sample t-test is actually smaller than 0.01. So the p-value is a specific observable data, and based on that, you make a more general claim that two population means are different, which is not directly observable. Generalized claim about about the world.